Hey, hello, everyone. Sorry, I might have started a little early on that one today, but anyway, we are here with the Love Your Liver live stream number 194. Today is going to be a subscriber Q&A because I was out of town for the last week at a podcast and a dance competition and all this stuff, and Kelsey was visiting, and it was like a lot of stuff, so I didn't have time to prepare the infertility PSYOP part 4 for you today. So anyway, I am the new nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts, and we're gonna hit the live chat questions after I get through quite a few testimonials, because I haven't done testimonials in a while, and I would like to do some for all of you that we have we have accumulated for you. Oh, Baptized in Fire says, thank you, Dr. Smith, for everything. You are very welcome. Very glad to be doing it. I don't know what else I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. So, just a reminder in the chat, the way I do the live chat Q&A when I get to that point after the testimonials is, if there's any super chats, those go first. And otherwise, I go back up to the top of the list of Q&A questions, and then I just go down it. So that's how we do that. I have about an hour and a half to do this. So, okay, so let us get into it. Joe put the link to the testimonials, the Google Doc in there if you want to see them. And we can share that tab now, Joe, if you want. Let me get back up to the top. Wow, that's 10 pages worth. So, again, like I said, I haven't done these in a while. There's about 7 of them, I think. So let's just get into it. So this first testimonial, I think I mentioned this last week. Anyway, this is from someone who is a very big fan of our work. And she had a daughter. She has a daughter. Her daughter had her 3rd baby last week. Our daughter had a baby last week, number 3. And he is her first baby without jaundice. I think I might have said 3rd. It was the 4th baby before. But anyway, I was incorrect. She started the Love Your Liver program after baby number 2 and credits the low vitamin A for no jaundice this time. He is so healthy. We are grateful. So, folks, jaundice in babies, it's supposedly, I think the last stat I heard somebody tell me was it's about 80% of kids these days. 80% of kids are being born with jaundice. This means their livers, they're being born with, their livers are compromised already. You are not born with a clean slate. You inherit your toxicity and deficiencies from your parents, and they from their parents before them, and they from their parents before that. One of the sayings I've used for this, kind of like those of you who are into, the Bible would be the sins of the father being visited upon the son or the children. This is a variation on that. You are not born with a clean slate at all. And jaundice, it's yellow. We talk a lot about yellow here. So you don't want to be born yellow. If you were born with jaundice, it is very likely that you've been dealing with health problems your entire life. Your liver was not great from the beginning. Can we fix this? Yes, we've helped people who were born with jaundice all the time. Okay? That's what we do. We fix livers. Jaundice is a liver problem. So let's get into the next one. Oh, wait, I forgot. Joe posted the link in the chat, and I was on that podcast I mentioned. It's called Digital Social Hour with Sean Kelly. It was actually live in his studio up in Vegas. It was a lot of fun. And so if you want to go watch that, we'll be posting in the Love Your Liver network, and I'll be posting it on my social media, so you can find it there too. And Joe put it in the chat. So let's go on to the next one. Now, sorry, let me just say this. The testimonials with no name on them. These were posted in the Love Your Liver network, and I'm sharing them here. I do not post names of people who post inside a private network for obvious reasons. They're in a private network. I'm not going to tell everybody who they are unless I know that it's totally okay with that. The Gemini thing. Yes, let me click off the Gemini thing. Thanks, Joe. There we go. We'll make it a little bigger. So let's get into this one. If somebody posts a testimonial on a public social media thing like NH Designer Mom on X or Twitter, then I will, we have the link here. You can go check it out. Here we go. I came to at NutriDetect, that's me, after taking beef liver and cod liver oil daily for less than a year. In that year, I developed, now notice these are natural sources of vitamin A. She developed acid reflux, gallbladder attack, morning nausea, miscarriage, irregular periods. I've been on the program just a little over 6 months, and all those symptoms have resolved. I feel great on the diet and the program. I feel like garbage when I eat vitamin A foods again. We went to Italy in November, and all my symptoms returned after a week of eating out in Italy. That's pretty rough. I got my mom doing the program now too. She had her gallbladder out a few years ago and has had reflux ever since. Her reflux is gone too unless she eats vitamin A foods. She always thought it was an acid thing because that's what they tell you, but no, it's vitamin A, and she put the quotes on it like I do. Very good. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I have a whole episode devoted to reflux, which is, it's not really acid reflux, it's bile reflux. Some people have, everybody who has reflux has bile reflux. Some people have bile and acid reflux, and that is the worst. But most of the time, reflux is bile at the minimum, and then some people have acid on top of that, which then causes even more damage. So let's go to number 3. And this is a long one. This is from somebody inside the program. He's starting off, hello. I've been on the health game since 2015. I was skinny fat, low testosterone, and had 3 persistent autoimmune conditions: low platelets, low white blood cells, and eczema. I followed the health influencers on Twitter, both big and small accounts, because I thought I was getting the real inside scoop that big pharma doesn't want you to know. Many people think that, right? I mean, I'm on Twitter. You're getting that from me, but not everybody's like me. And I had some results, like my total T going from 372 to 630, but I still felt like crap. I still had no energy. I still had chronically undermining brain fog, and I was insecure with my skinny fat body. I tried various things like organ meats, liberally popping vitamins, sleeping extra hours, tanning, grounding, exotic herbs, fasting, and various diets like keto, Stan Efferding's vertical diet, and whole foods only. Okay, look at what he tried. There are people out there who say if you just get enough sun, that it'll fix everything. Like, it's a joke. It's really a joke. Like sun is, you need sun. Don't get me wrong. Like, you need sunlight or ultraviolet B and ultraviolet A and red light and all. You need light. If you had mercury poisoning, do you think sunlight's going to fix it? Like, why don't people use, we all can use our brain on this now. The people selling you that sun fixes everything are kind of missing the point, and they're often recommending toxic supplements on top of that. So, look at all these things he tried. Why didn't any of these things fix him? And if somebody says because he did them wrong, I'm sorry. You missed the boat too. Things worked for a bit, but I always plateaued. The worst is I saw how people were trolled and mocked when they didn't get results by following the account's advice. So I never piped up because I don't need the negativity. Isn't that so true? Actually, Kelsey and I were talking about the Peters. Like, whenever something goes wrong on the Pete diet or people are slowly getting worse, they're just like, well, you're not doing it wrong. Oh, well, that's not Peting. Oh, it's very much like, well, that wasn't real communism. Real communism's never been tried. Well, here's the funny thing. Pete never codified his nutrition stuff. So there is no Pete diet because he had no skin in the game. He had no clinic. He had no paying clients. He just wrote a blog, basically. Okay. But yeah, this is what you see on social media, right? Everybody, if you mess up, they just mock you and you're not doing it right. Oh, you're not doing it hard enough. Do it harder. So let's keep going. I was ashamed enough. I followed all the advice to the point of pissing off friends and family because I was strict with my regime. Little did I know I was just poisoning myself. We've all been there. Luckily, things changed when I came across Thor Torrens ranting about young gym guys nuking their hormones for gains. He made some good points, so I checked out his profile and came across the low vitamin A approach. I'm fairly contrarian and open-minded, so I gave it a week to see how I felt. I was sold. I got relief from my zombie energy, and I loved how I digested food. It was enough for me to dig deeper. It didn't take long for me to come across Dr. Garrett Smith. I binged his YouTube videos, applied his free stuff, and eventually got the LYL program, the Love Your Liver program. Members.nutritiondetective.com, right? I'm glad to report my health did a complete 180 from head to toe. I'll list the benefits down below. And for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to add this. The Love Your Liver program is not just low vitamin A food list. Okay. It's not just that. If it was just that, I wouldn't sell it. That's too easy. Okay. But the biggest benefit from the Love Your Liver program is the fact I can enjoy life without being afraid I'll never get healthy. I'm approaching 34 and feel my best years are ahead of me. My zest for life is back and only increasing. I've made the best gym progress of my life, and all the little aging nags are reversing. I thought my youthful looks were gone for good. Now I see my younger self again in the mirror every day, but with the health I wanted years ago. It wasn't that long ago I was sternly carded when I ordered an old-fashioned. The bartender could barely believe my ID from 3 years ago. Of course, I still have many years to go and autoimmune diseases to crush for good. Yeah, okay, so he's been doing this for a while. The autoimmunity is still there. Autoimmunity is deep toxicity, but you're seeing and hearing how he's improving along the way. Nothing makes these deep toxicity diseases, they don't go away fast. It takes years. But I want to say thank you, Dr. Smith, for all your years of research, trial and error, and thick skin. This program you put together has easily been the best decision I made for my health. Not getting jabbed comes a close second. That is, I don't know. I mean, not getting jabbed is a really big, good decision. Okay, anyway, here's the list of the things that have improved from head to toe. Head, physically, whiter teeth, less sensitive teeth, less tartar, plaque, and tongue gunk. Better breath overall, much less bleeding gums unless I push detox. He means too hard. Yeah, right. Yeah, your dental health is determined by mainly what you eat. Yes, cleaning your mouth is important, but your mouth is basically like your insides with an exposure point, you know? And your teeth are extensions of your bones. So if you have teeth problems, you have bone problems too, and vice versa. Okay, reversed mostly all the gray hairs unless I push detox too hard. Gray hairs are not a copper deficiency, folks. They're really not. Slimmer face and gets lean lean AF if I do the mouth tape. Clearer skin with less redness, less wet ear sensation. I've talked about the wet ear all the time. Okay. The wet ear is like earwax, and wet ear is you're detoxing through your ear. Okay, if you want to do it, so mouth taping's fine. If you want to do it, fine. The other thing I will say is if you learn how to do mewing properly and you can breathe well enough through your nose to do mewing or the mouth tape, the mewing will be like mouth tape if you do it right. Mewingapp.co, I believe it is. I think that's right. Mewingapp.co. That's the only one I recommend. That is by the guy. That is by the mewing guy. By the guy. Don't do other stuff. Do that one. And don't do the mewing to look better. Do it because it's good for your jaw and your TMJ and your mouth health. And then you'll just look better as you do it. The guy who made that app specifically said, don't do it just to look better. Okay. Okay, less eye floaters, less stressful dentist checkups, getting my hair growth because I saw my hairline starting to slowly recede. Much less yellowing of the teeth when I drink coffee. Hair is thicker and darker too. Younger looking skin because there's a natural glow to me. Let me just explain the yellowing of teeth thing. Okay, your teeth are yellow partially because of what you eat. Everybody's teeth are yellow partially because of what they eat, which is toxic, and partially because it's bile, yellow bile that stains things in your saliva. It can get there both from your saliva is made from your blood. It goes into your mouth. It marinates your teeth. They turn yellow. And there's what you eat and drink over it. And then there's also if you have reflux, you have bile coming up into your mouth, like directly into your mouth. So as we fix this thing, when people push detox too hard or when they're going through a big detox phase, their teeth can actually get a little more yellow while they're on the program. I don't hide this. I don't want people to quit because they're like, what's going on? I want you to understand that this can happen. It happened to me. As you get past that, then your teeth all of a sudden are whiter than they've ever been. And you don't have to whiten them and all that stuff. And the yellow goes away. Your teeth actually throw off the yellow over time. You do not have to whiten your teeth if you fix your bile. Okay. No more eye crust in the morning. That's actually, much more resilient to bright lights, much less dry mouth, much less dry eyes. That's funny. I hadn't thought about the eye crust. Right? The eye crust, it's like yellow, right? I don't get that anymore. How many of you out there in the chat, how many of you used to get eye crust and you don't anymore, or you used to get nasty earwax that was like yellowish or orangish or brownish and you don't get that anymore. So if you want to comment in the chat on that, that would be cool. Eyes more resilient to wind or direct breezes. I would tear up like I'm crying if a fan was blowing at me. Eyes look more alive. Torso, I'll combine some whole body benefits here. Skinny fatness mostly gone unless I push more fiber. My midsection flattened out a good amount. I've been skinny fat since senior year of high school, so not being afraid to be seen shirtless is a major win for me. I still have fat to lose, and I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm eating at a slight caloric surplus to build muscle. Okay. Will said his eyes used to be dry and crusty, and Houndjog said yes. Me, LeBrad Pass said yep. Yeah, so these yellow, nasty things that are coming out of you, the eye crust, the earwax, it's toxicity. Your body's trying to detox. And as you get less toxic, these things stop. Lillian Brandon says, me too. Now, I just want to say here, because there's people out there who either don't want to understand this work, or they want to misrepresent this work. Too much fiber for a person is too much, right? You can have too much fiber. I know if I eat way too much fiber, I can get bloaty too. So what do? I don't eat that much fiber. I mean, I don't eat the amount that causes me issues is what I mean. Some people do amazing on tons of fiber. Some people need less. Some people at the start of the program need 0 because they can't handle it at all. We adjust to what works for the person. And this is where so you guys know out there, if you're out fighting for this approach on social media or out on the internet, remember that this framework can fit people who can't do fiber and people who need tons of it. So is soluble fiber good for detox? Yes, but that doesn't mean everybody can start doing it at the beginning. And even still, like, let's say somebody's 3 years in and they're like, I still don't tolerate fiber well. Okay. Are you getting better? Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. You're taking some usually we see them and they're taking some charcoal and you go, okay, you're taking something to bind up your bile and you're still pooping good. Great. Perfect. We'll get into the framework later. The framework is everything and it can fit all of these things. That's what people don't understand. Much less bloating after eating. No more silent GERD like my food trying to come back up. So there we go. Silent GERD, yellow teeth. You see exactly what I was trying to teach you there? No more throwing up in my mouth. That's bile. No more food coma. You would usually have like a 2-hour food coma. That's definitely potassium deficiency that happens a lot. No more 2 to 4 p.m. crash. It rubs the lotion on its skin. He means magnesium lotion. A lot of the 10 to noon crash and the 2 to 4 p.m. crash, those are blood sugar issues typically, and magnesium really helps with that. So, Trina, I'll see if I can't get to that question. We would never use a normal prenatal ever. Better food tolerance in general, better gym gains. Now, this one is a bit mixed as I switch to a 2 and 3 full body workout, and it's much better than my past splits. But I'm building more muscle and looking like I lift unlike before. So Love Your Liver deserves some credit as I believe my body is in a much better position than before to recover from external stimuli and adapt by building muscle. Because I lost fat and built muscle, there are times my husband won't keep his hands off me. Well, libido's also, as you get healthier, your libido gets better, and both male and female function down there gets better. So it's like you're healthier, you have more energy, you want to do it more, and everything's working better. So life gets better, you know. Below the waist, much less foot cramps. That's a potassium thing for sure. Much healthier and steadier bowel movements. Okay, well, I didn't see this part on here before I was going to read it, but we'll just go right into it. Extra penile shaft. Let me explain. I did not grow my unit. What happened was the fat in my groin area became much less stubborn, and when I recently lost weight, some of my pubic fat left. Now it appears larger. Larger testes. My testicles look larger and feel heavier. I did not expect to have this kind of a makeover. A surprise to be sure, but a welcomed one. Okay, so we have the weight loss, toxicity loss, and then we have when this happens to guys. Okay, so what do we see when guys take testosterone? What happens to their testicles? They shrink. So So that means what's going on is just like if you stop lifting a muscle, like stop doing bicep curls, what happens over time? Your biceps shrink. Use it or lose it. So when guys take testosterone and their testicles shrink, what is going on? Their testicles are saying, we don't have to make testosterone as much anymore, so we're just going to shrink, atrophy, use it or lose it. So what does it mean if testicles are actually getting larger? It means they're able to make more testosterone. What is he seeing in the gym? Improvements. All sorts of testosterone-related improvements. This is what we do, okay? Mental, better focus, no need for nootropics, so brain supplements, more all-day energy, daily energy more stable, rice and beans and meat is the best combo, much less anxiety, zest for life again, better sleep, especially when he doesn't push detox. So you keep hearing him say he has some issues when he pushes detox too hard. Everybody does. And when he stays good, life is good. We are not trying to push detox so hard so you suffer. That is not the goal. We are trying to improve your quality of life while we improve your health. So if you are suffering and you're thinking that, oh, Dr. Smith says zinc is good, so I'm going to take tons of zinc, but when I take tons of zinc, I get these symptoms. You're doing too much. Oh, Dr. Smith says soluble fiber is good, so I'm going to take more and more soluble fiber. Oh, I don't feel good now. What's going on? You're doing too much. The detox is going to happen if you're doing the right things. If you push it over the edge, you can make yourself a little worse. Are you still detoxing? Yes. Do you have to suffer? Not particularly. Or if you're making yourself suffer, the biggest thing you can do for everybody else out there who could be helped by this is to not go and tell them that the program was the problem. It's that you pushed too hard. And then if you stop pushing too hard, you'll probably notice that you have all these improvements. And then you wonder where they came from. Well, it was you were detoxing the whole time. You just made yourself suffer. So don't do that. Or if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. Pushing the detox too hard. We all do it. Remember, it's like the child touching the stove. The child often will have to touch the stove to learn that it's hot. When do you find out what pushing detox too hard is for you? Only when you've done it. So you're going to find it out. You're going to bump up against that wall at some point. Okay. I can write more, but I think I said enough. I'll end this by saying I'm not perfect and definitely deviate from the program here and there. Yes, this is all of us do that. We're only human, yet I've made incredible progress and have clear guidance from the Love Your Liver program to rely on when I have to troubleshoot. And yes, life happens and you do have to troubleshoot. Absolutely. Anyhow, for skeptics, the only supplements I took outside the Love Your Liver program are powdered bull testes, which didn't do jack for me. And I've recently started taking DHEA. Okay. DHEA most of the time doesn't do much for anybody. Anyhow, that's all I have for you today. Bye now. So that was how long on the program? Where was it? Did he say how long? I don't remember. No problem. He was doing some of the other stuff before that. Well, no, he's been in that. So Joe mentioned since 2015. He's been in the health game since 2015, but that's when he was doing all the weird Twitter stuff and all that. Okay, now this next testimonial. This person is a copywriter. You'll be able to tell from his testimonial, his great testimonial. But yes, this person does work in copywriting. So from puddles to perfect, how Love Your Liver stopped my dog's incontinence. My dog is old, and this is a legit testimonial. With age, I expected certain things, less energy, trouble standing, and lots of naps. What I didn't expect were the sudden health issues. I believe he's talking about as from the dog's perspective. Oh, he's kind of doing both. Lumps on her skin, cataracts, arthritis, and worst of all, incontinence. One day I'm taking her out every few hours. The next day I'm mopping up urine droplets all over the house. Even worse, she'd sometimes pee in her sleep, soaking her fur. Disgusting. At some point, I stopped putting the mop away because every time I left for lunch or a meeting, I'd return to a mess. It got so bad that I had to block off my bed to prevent accidents there too. After looking into dog diapers and pee pads, I consulted a vet. The solution, a urethral muscle tightening drug. It was cheap, under $20. But as a longtime follower of Dr. Smith and the Love Your Liver program, I did my research. Sure enough, the drug was terrible for the liver long term. I couldn't do that to my dog. That's when it hit me. Why not try a Love Your Liver diet doggy style? That's hilarious. Sorry. I ditched the kibble and switched her to raw beef or chicken, oatmeal, and a little sauerkraut. Within a week, her energy improved. A few weeks later, her cataracts visibly thinned. Even climbing stairs became easier. The incontinence, better but inconsistent. Some days the floor was spotless, other days drip city. That's when I consulted Dr. Smith again, and his advice changed everything. Add more estrogen foods. I swapped oatmeal for soybeans, added flax seeds and coconut water, and included keystone minerals plus flush niacin to help clear out toxins from past dog foods. The result, over a month, was 0 accidents, even overnight. This is not, so I'm going to tell you, this was something we tried. We tried it. It worked. This is not something I would do for humans, okay? The result, over a month, was 0 accidents, even overnight. Before, if I didn't wake up to take her out, I'd find a puddle. Not anymore. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for your guidance in the Love Your Liver program. I don't know how much time my dog has left, but her quality of life has dramatically improved. For those reading this, my dog gives Dr. Smith's work 2 paws up. Now, one of the things you can do is there are I need to make several new sections in the Love Your Liver program, but people do talk about feeding their animals on these principles quite often. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not trying to practice veterinary medicine. But you can look up the BARF diet online, which is bones and raw food. You can add, some soluble fiber here and there to the dog's food. You can add some charcoal. You can do these things. One of the things we don't use is pumpkin. Don't vets use that all the time? This bright orange pumpkin. Don't do that. But it's probably for the soluble fiber in it, right? It's very gooey, thick, like soluble fiber things. So this is from Hit the Books on X. He is a very big fan of the Love Your Liver program. And this is actually 2 testimonials put together. A little over 2 years ago, I wrote the below symptoms in a note sheet. All of them have now been fully resolved. 2 years. All of these symptoms. Constant brain fog, gone. Extreme fatigue, need to nap several days a week, gone. Inability to work out or work out hard, gone. Joint pain and cracking, gone. Muscle weakness, gone. Worsening of vision, light sensitivity, gone. Constant hunger/sweet cravings. No matter how much I ate, I could not gain weight. So we got an undertype here. Gone. Depressive thoughts, negative, anxious, gone. Lack of feeling and control over things and events, gone. Dry skin, gone. Knee pain, gone. Digestive issues, inconsistent bowel movements, gone. Head feeling hot, dizziness when upside down, gone. Could not take supplements without a bad reaction, gone. So we're going to go over this in his next tweet that he did. The next testimonial tweet is very short. But now he can take all the things we typically use, except the lactoferrin, without a big reaction. Folks, if you're having trouble, this is an important thing. If you're having trouble with the supplements at the start, work the program. Work the program. If you can't take the supplements, or you can't take the dose you think you're supposed to, or if you're working with one of our health facilitators and they say you could try up to this dose. Remember, I just said you can try up to this dose. It doesn't mean that's the dose you need to get to. We have too many perfectionists and optimizers who think that if they say you could go up to 60 milligrams of zinc based on a low zinc on their hair test and blood test, and that we don't normally do 60 milligrams of zinc unless somebody tests for it, like they're doing the testing. But anyway, let's say they say you could go up to there. That doesn't mean that's your goal. That means you could go up there and try it. And if it doesn't work, you go back down to the dose that does work. Really, really important. Because you might have a bad reaction at certain dose, but other doses are okay. Well, then do that dose. Just like before pushing detox too hard, you can push supplements harder than your body likes. So please don't do that. Okay, needing way too much sleep and still not feeling rested after it. Was it the avoidance of vitamin A? Personally, wait. I got signed out. How in the world did I get signed out? Hold on, Joe. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. How in the world did I get signed out? Anyway, let's go view. What in the world? Okay. Hold on, Joe. I'll get it up. Put that away. Okay. Let me go share it. That was weird. I don't know how I got signed out of a document while I'm on it. Let's see, screen. There we go. Wait, 193. Apparently, Google just decided to log me out of everything in the middle of my show. Okay. Joe, can you see it now? Yes. Okay, great. So all these symptoms gone. Was it the avoidance of vitamin A? Personally, I don't think that was my biggest problem, although I do believe it helped. I'll continue to avoid it because I feel there's enough evidence to do so, and clearly humans can live without it. Also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yes. This would not have all been possible without the extreme attention to detail that I put into getting better. The effort. This is not for people who want a magic pill. Don't go and try to sell this program to people you know won't do the work. If they are lazy and they don't do anything for their health, this is not for them. Sure, can they take a Keystone Minerals? Sure. Could they take a little bit of flush niacin if they're not too big a baby to have a flush? Sure. But do not expect them to jump into all of this. Like when I send people a video and they go, wait, your low toxin diet video is 2 hours? I don't have 2 hours to watch that. I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Fine. I'm done here. I gave you something free. You don't want it. No problem. This is not for you. It's very simple. So you will lead people to closer to doing what you want if you lead the way yourself. Get better yourself. If you're doing it and you're willing to stick with it, other people will be attracted to that and they will want to do it more. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. They'll be attracted to it more. There's a very good approach to helping to help other people to help themselves in the book called Let Them by Mel Robbins. I just went through that book. It's a great book in terms of so many things. But anyway, there's a part in there about how to help other people who you love and care about. And the first thing to do is to do it yourself. Lead the way. That is the very first thing. Okay. That said, I did all of this based on the work of the so-called grifter NutriDetect, who taught me an insane amount about health and nutrition. I didn't even work directly with the guy and was still able to achieve such incredible results just using his concepts. My life is literally a 180 from when I started. I'm currently 31 and feel better than I did at 21. If this is what you call getting scammed, then please sign me up any day. Yeah, if you guys don't know what grifter is, it's like snake oil salesman, scammer, fraudulent, hoaxer. Like people will call me a grifter all day. Somebody said on Twitter the other day, I can't believe that this vitamin A toxicity cult even exists. He's just an angry Peter who mega doses everything on everybody. Like he's going to kill people with boron. My goodness. Boron is an infertility agent, if you didn't know. I'll make sure to hit on that in the next infertility psyop. Yeah. So anyway, also his supplements are the cleanest out there without whack fillers. I like that the Nutrition Detective Keystone Minerals and Zinc and have been buying those regularly. This is what I was saying before. This is his next tweet. Actually, this was the day before. Every supplement I wasn't able to tolerate in the past, I can now confirm I tolerate except one, which is lactoferrin. Haven't tried it in a few months. Given additional improvements over the past few weeks, I decided to YOLO, you only live once, a full capsule a day and see what happens. There's a little bit of, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. You can do that, you can YOLO, you can FAFO, you can do whatever. It's fine. It's lactoferrin can make people like detox a bit hard. It does cause a lot of bile to be produced. So if you dump a bunch of bile, we all know that that's going to happen. So if he does it and he doesn't feel good, he's not ready for it yet. Okay, then don't do it. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. Okay. Oh, sorry. And this is what he said about it. In the past, I would normally become bedridden with zero energy for 3 to 4 days after taking it. I'm fully ready for the pain, but need to run this experiment for myself. It says, we'll report back. I don't know if I've seen his report back yet. Okay. Now this next one. Zen, I know he doesn't mind me saying it. This is Zen Dog Breath, or JoJo. That JoJo inside the network, and he's Zen Dog Breath here on YouTube. Huge fan of the program. And this is a pretty funny testimonial. Rhonda Patrick and Charles Raisin did a podcast interview years ago on heat, running, therapy, and depression. Good stuff. Might still be up on YouTube. Pointed out research paper evidence that exercise sweat carries out few, if any, toxins. Passive heat sweat carries out tons. Go sauna. I didn't know this. I live in Tucson, so we're going to get the passive heat sweating too. But sauna is, if you want a sauna, yes, it's the so-called L. Ron Hubbard Scientology niacin flush detox. It is useful. So again, I'm not a Scientologist. I don't advise any Scientology, but he came up with something good, which is flush niacin. You want to then, the full thing would be you exercise mild to moderate cardio. Notice I said mild to moderate cardio. I would usually just go, when I would do this at the gym where they have the sauna, I would just put the treadmill all the way up on the hill, like 15%, and I just walk for 20 minutes. I wasn't trying to like do anything crazy. You're just trying to get the blood flow going. You're trying to get the sweating going. You know, this is active sweating, right? This is not passive sweating, but you're trying to get the sweating going. You're trying to get your body between the niacin and the cardio. You're trying to get the body to start burning some fat so you can get rid of those fat soluble toxins by then doing the sauna afterwards. Now, the research on the US veterans who did this detox, they were doing the sauna, they were doing infrared sauna at about, what they said was, I forget the Celsius degrees, but it was 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And they were doing it for up to 2 to 3 hours. They were taking breaks at times. They were getting some snacks. They were having electrolyte water. They were not like balls to the wall. I'm going to sit in here and cook my brain for 10 minutes. If you're out there doing like 190 degrees, 200 degrees, you're suffering and you're like coming out of it like you're going to fall over, you did too much. Do less. You're not trying to punish yourself. You're not trying to cook your brain in its own juices. Don't do that. You're trying to sweat. If you are sweating, you're fine. You do not need to suffer. I mean, it's not going to be fun. You're still sitting in 140 to 160 degrees, but that's doable. And some of you have told me your infrared saunas are like really hot at temperatures that are lower than that. Then do what works. Okay, don't be like the idiots in my gym who go and like in the steam room and they cover up the thermometer so it doesn't read the right temperature. It thinks it's cooler and then it makes it really hot in there. You can't even see through the steam. Don't be that person. Debate Anything says I don't sweat that much. That will get fixed. As you get less toxic, you will sweat more. So if you're out there and you have a sweating problem, way too much sweat, or you don't sweat much at all, that is a toxicity thing. That will get fixed. Just give it time. Okay? But don't push it. It's not going to be the sauna that breaks through the sweating. It's going to be getting the toxins out. So just go and do what you can. Okay? But don't overheat. If you can't sweat, don't go and overheat yourself. That's not going to help anybody. Okay. For what it's worth, 28 months on the Love Your Liver program. Armpits stopped stinking last month. I was always the stinkiest guy in all the rooms. Moving furniture, driving trucks, driving bus, landscaping, martial arts, always. Heard my share of complaints. Had to acknowledge all well-founded. Made my own eyes burn once. That's rough. 3 to 4 showers a day. If no shower, dogs on walks were stunned by me. That's pretty stinky. Woke up last month sweat-soaked when spring hit and temperature rose outside. Was still covered up with the heater on when I woke. Pulled soaked shirt off expecting to smell ammonia. Nothing. And yeah, made wisest, most beautiful woman alive smell it. So he made his wife smell his sweaty shirt, because that's the kind of man I am. Still, though, seriously filled with awe. So far this month, did half the laundry of last month. Life is gooder. Getting their weirdest love your liver testimonial so far. So if you haven't seen my We Fix Body Odor with Nutrition, the Fixing Body Odor with Nutrition video, that's another video on my channel. You can see that. It's the same basic stuff. There's nothing new that we do for body odor. We do the program. People always ask me, do you have a program for Crohn's? Do you have a program for diabetes? Do you have a program for this? No, it's the same concepts and principles. You're going to make it fit for you. Joe is a huge advocate in the Love Your Liver program of people going and reading the order of adding stuff, which is the order to do stuff that, like, the biggest return for the lowest investment is the stuff at the top. Like, I mean, just think about it. Hydration is in there. Are you drinking way too much water, or are you not drinking enough? Fix that. That's that's easy, right? Getting some sunlight, getting some movement. Like, these are silly, basic things. But if you don't do them, then you don't get anywhere, right? So Will said, my armpits used to smell like Whataburger ketchup. Very specific, Will. I would have the onion smell. I would definitely have the onion sulfury BO smell. And I used to definitely notice, as I was kind of along the years, as I was detoxing more and getting better, when I would drink, I would have BO the next day. When I drank alcohol, I would have BO the next day. And I would have earwax, which just told me all the things I thought about toxicity were true. I would take in toxins and then I would sweat them out and have them, come out in other ways. So, 7th testimonial. This is the last one. This one is pretty cool, because this is like when you learn the Love Your Liver stuff and you apply it and you pay attention to it and you adjust and adapt based on the framework, then you can figure things out. Okay, so I have been on the Love Your Liver program for 6 months, and I want to share 2 breakthroughs. I found out that if I eat 2 bananas, drink 1 glass of coconut water, and 1 glass of potassium citrate, freshly made from potassium bicarbonate and citric acid, over the course of a day, I can fall asleep within minutes. I have said it over and over, fixing your potassium is the quickest way to get improvements. Like, you got to figure out the right dose for you. Don't just overdo it at the start. Don't just hammer all these things down and then wonder, well, wait, why is my heart acting a little funny? You can do too much potassium and your heart rate will get a little funny. But getting the right amount of potassium is the quickest way to feel better. Like, if you got the right amount for you, you could feel significantly less tired and less depressed and less anxious within like 20 minutes. It's really fast. Okay. So that's a decent amount. This 2 bananas is like 1,000 milligrams of potassium. 1 glass of coconut water is like another 400, 500, and 1 glass of potassium citrate. He doesn't say how much is in there, but I mean, we're looking at like 2,000 milligrams at least, probably, of potassium, which is half of what is suggested by the Institute of Medicine for you to get. Half. But he says all of a sudden he can fall asleep really well, which potassium deficiency, one of the symptoms of it is trouble falling asleep initially. I have needed about an hour to fall asleep since I was about 18 years old, so this is huge. I could fall asleep quickly when I first started on the magnesium lotion, but it didn't last. Now that I have my potassium on lock, also, it works consistently and repeatably as long as I do all 3. Amazing. And what are the 2 things I talk about that help these are the 2 things that people mess up the most that have the quickest benefit potential: topical magnesium and potassium. Topical magnesium lotion, or whatever other approach you want to do, and potassium are the 2 things that could help today. And I want you to pay attention. He said 18 years old, so I don't know how old this person was, but obviously it's been a very long time since he could fall asleep immediately. And he fixed it in days to weeks once he got this stuff going. Okay. Big thanks to Garrett Smith, well, that's me, for the recent potassium live stream. Then about a week ago, when I was about to drift off to sleep, suddenly I involuntarily took a big breath of air and was awake again. This happened several nights in a row. Sounds like air hunger. Which two of the biggest things I would do for air hunger in terms of nutrition would be magnesium and potassium. I have a history of central sleep apnea that I managed to get under control with Buteyko breathing in 2019. Now, thanks to the program, I am immediately thinking copper with anything neurological. So I backed off the L-theanine and the zinc so as not to stir up too much copper, and the next night the problem was gone. Putting that together and addressing it so quickly would have been impossible under any other framework. Okay. He thought he's got his magnesium down, he's got his potassium down, he's falling asleep. All of a sudden, he's waking up, or he's not falling asleep as quickly, and he's having another symptom. So he thought copper toxicity. We never talk about copper toxicity around here, do we? We never talk about stirring up copper causing potassium deficiency problems, do we? Yeah, we do all the time. Anything that helps to bind copper or antagonize copper. L-theanine binds copper. I don't know that L-theanine helps you detox it, but it binds it for sure. Zinc does help antagonize copper, and zinc helps you get rid of copper. However, with anything that affects copper, if you take more than your body likes, or if, as we saw, as his body was changing and detoxing over time, all of a sudden, he started dumping too much copper. He has a symptom that he was like, I think this is probably copper. What can I do? Well, let's take out the copper antagonists, the copper binders, the things that might stir up copper. So he backed off. He didn't stop it. He backed off, and he fixed the problem. This is the framework I give you in the program. This is why if for people who think the Love Your Liver program is just low vitamin A, you're so wrong. Okay? But this is the framework we give people. That's why I call it a framework. It's not a protocol. Protocols are for NPCs. We don't do protocols. We have a framework, and then you as an individual need to figure out the frame. We tell you what to do. If this, then this. Oh, it's not that, it's this. Oh, then this. We have a lot of that stuff. Doc, I upped my soluble fiber and now I'm having like GERD. Okay, lower your soluble fiber. Or, Doc, I just started getting this new issue. Well, what did you change in the last week? And if you want help with this stuff, if you're the type who's like, I can't figure this stuff out on my own, I don't know how to do it, that is what our health facilitators and our office hours are for. So the health facilitators trained by me, they help people with their consults, and they do their own office hours, and then they help with the dosing. And then I'm still doing my office hours. So if you sign up for a package, a testing and consult package with any practitioner, so you do your consult with Hope or Kelsey or Nathan, you do your consult with them, you can come to my office hours. I'm still doing office hours for everybody. So then you can come and get my troubleshooting, even if you saw somebody else for your consult. So that's the testimonials. Okay. So, oh yeah, Joe put up the link to the consultation stuff. I don't know when we're going to do another seminar to train more people if you want to learn the blood and hair analysis that we do, but we will be doing some of that. Let me see. We got one super chat from Beth who had to leave. I saw that Beth had to leave. Hound Jog asked office hours once a week. Each practitioner does their office hours once a week. So mine is once a week too. Kelsey does it once, Hope does it once, Nathan does it once, and I do it once. So you have technically 4 opportunities to come and ask questions of our facilitators. Yeah. So, and all those are in, there's an office hours section in the Love Your Liver program where you can click on it and then you can see everybody's time set to the time zone that you're in. So yeah. Okay. So Beth was asking, could I comment on taking 5-HTP and tyrosine to increase serotonin after coming off of antipsychotic meds, please? Thank you. This is a little bit of a dangerous area to comment on, is what I mean. This is someone who is like, okay, this is not necessarily a client of mine, and I'm not trying to give medical advice here. specifically for a person who's on something as strong as an antipsychotic med. So we're going to tread very gently on this. 5-HTP, I would prefer, well, first of all, they should be doing flush niacin. I mean, okay, antipsychotics, I mean, schizophrenia is something that flush niacin was used to fix. Flush niacin is one of the things that goes down that whole tryptophan pathway. Tryptophan can go flush niacin or niacin, or it can go to 5-HTP and then to serotonin. Well, if you want to go look up, what's his name? Hoffer, Abram, Abram Hoffer, Hoffer. They were treating schizophrenics very successfully with 3,000 milligrams, 3 grams of flush niacin a day. And get this, some of them wouldn't flush at that dose at all. Like they never flushed. They just started at 3,000. They didn't flush. Well, what is going on there? Well, we can tell you what we think is going on. The niacin is kind of going where you could say the body is using it where it's needed, or you could say it's going where it's needed. I don't like to anthropomorphize nutrients. Like as a joke, I got kind of about this from an old chiropractor who I knew, horrible person, but he had some wisdom he shared. He told me, he's like, well, how does aspirin know where to go? Like if you have a headache, how does the aspirin know to go there? Right? So if like schizophrenia, you're treating it with high dose flush niacin, how does, when I say the niacin kind of goes there, well, what is probably happening? Like, why does the niacin go to your skin? Why do people feel the flush in their skin? Is it going there, or is it doing this, whatever its work is, all over? Like aspirin is affecting your entire body. And if it helps your headache, well, it helped your headache to get relief. So niacin, the idea here is, if let's say a schizophrenic would need help, where? In their brain. Do we have a lot of heat and pain and itching receptors in our brain? No, we don't have a lot of stuff to feel in our brain. So let's say there was a huge need for flush niacin up in the brain, and that's where it's going. They take 3 grams of it and no flush. It all got used up here. That's the idea. So that is where I would start. I mean, if I was working on schizophrenia type stuff, I'd be looking at their copper intake real hard. I'd be looking at their vitamin A intake real hard. I would be definitely looking into the flush niacin as like primary. I mean, I have papers on copper toxicity in schizophrenia, vitamin A toxicity in schizophrenia, and flush niacin and schizophrenia. So those are the places I would go. Now, supplementing, I mean, if you go, I would personally, if I was deciding to try some form of tryptophan, I would be doing tryptophan, L-tryptophan. I would not be doing 5-HTP. Why is this? When you want to give your body a choice. So if tryptophan can go down the niacin pathway, or it can go down the 5-HTP pathway, we want to give it the choice. There's going to be fewer side effects. You're not, you start pushing 5-HTP and you go down the ladder of it. It has no more choice. It's going to go to serotonin. So if you had a tendency to have a serotonin problem and you do 5-HTP, there's nowhere else for it to go. If you do tryptophan, your body could choose to shunt it to the niacin pathway if it knew that the 5-HTP to serotonin pathway was going to be bad. See what I mean? So I would personally, and tyrosine is another amino acid. Your body can do all sorts of things with tyrosine, but you guys have to remember, like many of you out there in the chat or on the comments after this, you've taken amino acids to try to force your brain to function differently, right? What was that? What's the lady with the cure book? It was like the amino acid cure. You know what I mean? She wrote a book where it was just like, oh, you have this symptom, you take this amino acid. You have this symptom, you take this amino acid. You take this, I forget the name of it, but that stuff didn't work. And once in a while, it'll work. And I just saw people on YouTube talking about, well, I took high dose glycine and high dose vitamin C for this and this. And I started going, I'm starting to wonder about this high dose glycine thing. I'm really starting to think it may be shutting things down. Like, I mean, they're taking mega doses. What do mega doses do best of all? They shut things down. So, and some people in the comments of that video were taking high dose glycine. They're like, this screwed me up really, really bad. Sounds like a duration paradox kind of thing. So, yeah, Will was saying glycine is good, but mega doses are bad. The creatine fad right now with like, everybody's like 10 grams, 15 grams, 20 grams, 25 grams. There's a guy on Twitter, I think, taking 40 grams a day. And he just keeps saying magically wonderful things about it, just like people did with the methylene blue. Is the methylene blue almost dead yet? Hopefully I helped drive a dagger into it. Yeah, creatine converts to 2 different aldehydes. Will in the chat there, he told me about that. He sent me 2 papers. And get this, the bigger the dose of creatine that you took at once, the more of it turned into aldehydes. So if these guys, like the one video, I think the guy was taking 15 grams of creatine all at once, or was it 25? I don't remember. I can't even keep track of these guys mega dosing. That's going to turn into tons. These guys in this one study, I think they were taking like 2 grams multiple times a day. And that gave the lowest aldehydes in their pee. So creatine turns into aldehydes. It's either before the kidneys or in the kidneys. Creatine seems to, it has some research on worsening kidney problems in people who already have kidney problems, who are the most susceptible to kidney problems. I think this is going to end really badly. This whole high dose creatine, it's very psyopish, where everybody came out at once going, take high doses. Anyway. So that's what I think about that. But tyrosine and I would prefer, if I was going to do it, I would do tryptophan. First, I'd do niacin before tryptophan, flush niacin. Then there would be, tryptophan and tyrosine would be completely like, try it and see. You never know. When you start playing with your brain, never forget that you are playing with your brain. For better or worse. So you take something where you're trying to tweak your brain based on, I think most neurotransmitter science is complete trash. I don't think they understand any of it. Why do the drugs suck so bad? Because they don't know shit. Why do the amino acid therapies not work on everybody? If you're depressed, take this one. Why does that not work for everybody? Why did that make one person worse? Because neurotransmitter science is trash. If it was really good, they'd be able like do this quiz, and then we run these bloods, and then we give you this, and you automatically get better. You don't have a negative reaction to it. People have negative reactions to these things all the time. So that's where I'd start. Niacin, and then you can decide with the tryptophan and the tyrosine. Tryptophan, I would tend to do it nighttime more than in the daytime. Tyrosine's a little bit more stimulatory, so you might try the tyrosine more during the day and the tryptophan more at night. Okay, so let me go back up to the very top. We got no more super chats, so I'm going to go through the rest of it. But Beth, I hope that helped. Oh, and I'm going to be doing, so I'm going to plug it. Beth's going to be doing a presentation, a Zoom presentation live in the Love Your Liver program. So if you're in the Love Your Liver program, I just posted the event today. So it's the 16th today of April. So I just posted the event. There's it's Friday, I believe. So yeah, it's all the information's there. It's highly suggested that you go and take the quiz, the archetype quiz at Beth's website, bethmartins.com. Joe, if you want to put that up, you could also go to that website and find the archetype quiz link. It's in the menu bar. And I suggest you do that first. I've already done it, and I actually did a couple sessions with Beth, and I did really like it. So she's got some stuff in that presentation she's going to go over to help people like think of their, let's say, mental, emotional stumbling blocks that they could work on to help themselves in the program. So her book's really good too. If you wanted check her out more. She's got her book. She's got her YouTube channel. We have lots of her King Heroes Journey people now in the Love Your Liver program, and it's all going really well. I mean, working on both things, the mental, emotional side of it, and the actual physical stuff. That's my specialty. Working on both of those things is the best way to do it. The other book I read on my drive home was Atomic Habits, and I did Let Them and I did Atomic Habits, and those two things, you could take all the stuff in those two books and fix a lot of your stuff. The Atomic Habits was like really good. I'm sitting there going, oh, I could fix all sorts of bad habits and good habits with the stuff in here. So let me look at the next question. So we got, okay, so I didn't say hello to everybody at the start. Did I not do my hello? Well, then there it is. So it's done. Okay. Unique Ascension asks, if viruses don't exist, but are some indication of toxicity, does that mean every virus/toxicity can be removed from the body with the Love Your Liver program? Will we ever have research on this? No. I mean, there's some people who say once you get microplastics and you can't detox them. Some people say that. Well, they found microplastic stones in the gallbladder. How did they get there? How does stuff get into the gallbladder? Well, it came in the bile. So is the liver excreting bile that has microplastics in it, and then it's getting stuck in the liver, just like gallstones? Yes. So can the liver likely excrete microplastics? Most likely. So to the virus question, of course, I have a more nuanced take on this whole no virus thing. I don't like the term no virus particularly, because are they finding something in these cell cultures? Yes. Can it also show up in cell cultures that don't have viruses or weren't infected? Yes. So are they finding the same stuff in both of them? Yeah. So does whatever that cytopathic debris or whatever it is, does it exist? We're getting semantics here, but does it exist? Yes. Oh, that's the archetype quiz sign up for Beth stuff on there. So does it exist? Yeah, but they're finding it in normal cell cultures too. Whatever they're calling viruses, they're seeing the exact same things in the normal cell culture. So you could say they don't exist because there's no difference. And I'm saying, well, whatever they're looking at, this is like when people say the new PSYOP, folks, is vitamins don't exist. This is how they're going to try to discredit us. They're going to be like, vitamins don't even exist because how do you know that what they found in the plant and then they put it through all these chemical processes is the same thing that's in the plant? And I'm like, you should go read the Rodal study where he was putting the isolated stuff into animals and putting the food stuff into animals, and they were having exactly the same reactions at exactly the same dose if it was the same form of vitamin A. These people are basically denying all of organic chemistry. And then if you start saying, okay, so you don't believe that vitamins exist. Do you believe that proteins and fats and carbohydrates exist? Why? Why do you believe in that and you don't believe in vitamins? And they go, well, okay, because you can isolate oil and whatever. Okay, so then do you believe in amino acids, fatty acids, and sugars? Because those are further breakdown products. You would have to do more organic chemistry to isolate those. If they say no, well, then you go, okay, well, you have to basically say, throw out all of nutrition science then. Just throw it all out. Just throw everything out. And then you start going, okay, so if we start looking at amino acids and they go, well, yeah, amino acids exist and sugars exist and fatty acids exist. And then you go, okay, so do you know that there's like one molecule difference between flush niacin and amino acids? Do you think they can discover amino acids and they can't discover niacin then? Which part of organic chemistry do we entirely throw away? What have you determined in your giant wisdom? Which parts of organic chemistry can we keep and which parts of organic chemistry should we just completely disregard based on your vitamins don't exist? It's the viruses don't exist thing. They're turning it into the vitamins don't exist. Seriously. They're going to try. These things are coming, folks. Are we worried about it? No, we're not scared of this. They sound dumb. Like, do chemical compounds exist? Yes. I always make sure to ask them, so which type of chemistry was used to create the thing you're typing on? You know, the phone or the computer. Which type of chemistry did that? Does that exist? Why is that same type of chemistry now not usable when it's a plant? Right? So do these toxins exist? Do plant toxins exist? Yeah. And then you'll probably see these same people arguing that like phytic acid is bad for you or something. And then you go, well, which logic was that? Oh, hemlock. How did they figure out what the poison was in hemlock? Did they use organic chemistry for that? Does it exist? Does arsenic in rice exist? How did they discover that? How do they isolate it? How do they measure it? It's just the vitamins don't exist thing is the dumbest subversion attempt I've heard. So don't, anybody who comes here with that nonsense, any of my moderators, just, they're gone. Just dump them. Waste of time. So back to the question, does that mean every virus / toxicity can be removed with this program? I don't know. We're only 6 years in. I don't know. Do we have microplastic measurements to see if those are all gone? No. Do we assume that here's what we're trying to do? This is the most important thing we're doing. The 3 basic principles. We are trying to stop putting the poisons in as much as possible. Reduce, minimize, eliminate, intoxing. Can you ever do it completely? No. You can never do it completely. Then the second thing is we are trying to facilitate the removal of stored toxins. That's our soluble fiber, charcoal. There's other cool stuff coming very soon. That's what we're trying to do to facilitate the removal of the stored toxins. And then the third thing is we want to restore nutrient deficiencies. Okay? You can't be healthy if you have a nutrient deficiency or a mineral deficiency. So this is the basics of it. Why are we doing this? Because if your body's detox system is less hindered, if it has less work to do, what do we trust in? We trust in the body's design. However you believe it came about, it doesn't really matter. We trust in the body's design. We trust in the body's wisdom. We trust in the body's ability to deal with things that it's never seen before. Let's say a new toxin comes into the world. Well, and you don't even know it exists. What would be the only thing that could protect you? Your liver and your kidneys. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to lighten the load on them, make them healthier, make them less toxic, so that whatever comes across, they can process it as well as possible. We will never figure out what every single toxin is. And we would never figure out how to avoid them all, because then you wouldn't be able to leave your house. You could live in a bubble, I guess, but then the bubble's got plastics and phthalates, and there is no perfect place. So get optimal out of your head. You are trying to make your system as resilient, as less toxic, and as resilient as possible, which are the same thing really, so that it can deal with whatever. Are you going to get rid of the toxicity you had been exposed to when you were born, let's say? I don't know. What is our goal? I mean, this is where people sometimes they want they think the outcome is more important than the process. The process is we are trying to get you healthier than you are now. Will you ever be completely detoxed? No. Your body makes toxins in the act of living, of existing. All of your neurotransmitters turn into aldehydes. So for your brain to work, the neurotransmitters that it makes are going to turn into aldehydes. You make, just like a car makes exhaust, you make toxins just by living. Some might say, I talked about the sins of the father thing, but there's also, if any Christians out there want to get mad at me for saying this, you can, but original sin, like you're born and you will make toxicity inside of you for the rest of your existence. Do you see where I'm going with that? Now, can these things be interpreted multiple ways? Of course. But are we seeing these concepts in real life? Yeah. Like the concept of original sin being like, you will never be clean. You make toxins just by existing. The sins of the father are handed down to the son, right? That like, and no, I'm not saying it correctly. If you want to be a nitpicker, I mean, go ahead, whatever. I don't care. But you see what I'm saying? That you're not born with a clean slate. You are tainted with those who came before you. This is why when people say, well, my great grandpa ate 10 eggs a day and he was fine. And I'm like, well, he handed it down. And then are you seeing that your family is living less and less long? And did your grandpa get 70 vaccines like they give kids today? No, he didn't. So it's not the same thing. Glyphosate, and you want to know what really happened in the 70s? Glyphosate and ivermectin came into the food supply. Those were two of the big things. I mean, they were pouring it on cows' backs. Go look up ivermectin pour-on. I've posted about it on Twitter. Imagine people thinking that something that is not only a pesticide and kills insects, multiple types of insects, but is also a parasite, an anti-parasitic, which kills multiple types of parasites, is somehow not toxic to us. Safe as water. You want to talk about a cult? There's your cult. Like just denying the fact that toxins are toxic and that things accumulate, which you can find that ivermectin accumulates in the research quite easily, and that it passes the blood-brain barrier, and that's a neurotoxin. So anyway, okay, so let's keep going. What are we at? We're at 11:30. Okay. So again, Oliver, Montana says, what would the sources of caveman megadoses of potassium been? What would they have been? Okay, so this is a very important, this is kind of an important thing in the development of how we got here. The reason why people would need more potassium these days is because we have so much sodium in our diets. You need potassium to counter the sodium. So caveman, if cavemen ever existed, that's a whole nother thing. But if cavemen existed, were they salting their food? Were they eating processed, heavily oversalted foods? No. So did they need tons of potassium to counter it? No. Like most people today, one of the reasons they feel like crap is because they don't even get as much potassium in a day as they get sodium. So let's say their sodium is 2,500 milligrams a day and their potassium's like 1,500. It's sad. And then when those people get their potassium at least equal with their sodium, minimum, absolute minimum is you get as much potassium as sodium. That's the minimum. That's the least you could do. When they start getting like double the sodium of potassium, then they start feeling like a lot better. Oftentimes, I have a guy, he can't, if he gets anything other than his 2,200 milligrams of potassium a day, he has problems. If he goes over it, he has problems. If he's too far under it, he has problems. There's weird stuff out there. So is this thing I'm talking about applicable to everybody? No, nothing is applicable to everybody. This is the framework. What works for one? Do we all need potassium? Yes. Do some people need more than others? Yes. I'm one of the people who needs more. I made sure on my trip that I had my bananas, and I took my I was actually buffering my niacin with potassium bicarbonate, and I was making sure I brought enough potassium, because one of the biggest things that happens to me on trips is I stop eating bananas and I don't have my potassium around, and I start to get tired and kind of grumpy, and then I go, oh, yeah. And now with Kelsey around, Kelsey will remind me, she'd be like, you need some bananas. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, I do. Thank you. And we had coconut water around too, just in case, because I seem to need a lot of potassium. But I do also salt my food. And yeah, that's the big thing. So if cavemen were not eating I mean, where were they getting sodium from? I mean, sodium is in meat. Meat is the highest sodium, naturally sodium containing food. So they were getting sodium from their meat. They were also getting some potassium. There is potassium in meat. And then if they were eating some fruit or whatever, then they're getting it from there. Actually, a funny thing was, Kelsey likes to watch Naked and Afraid. We were watching that in the hotel room, and they started talking about, they were like, I need some fruit, because they were all constipated from eating only animal products. I think one of them said on there that they didn't crap for like 18 days. Okay. Do humans have to have fiber to live? No. Will they likely be healthier if they get the right amount of fiber? Yes. I mean, they had 4 or 5 people on that show being like, yeah, the fruit are really important. Like, obviously they need protein, but then they also need fruit. Well, what are we doing here? We're like, meat and fiber, whatever sources work for you. So that was really funny. But also, Oliver, the cavemen were probably not they were not eating dairy. Like, people don't realize how few eggs birds lay in the wild. So they weren't eating tons of dairy, and they weren't eating tons of eggs, and they weren't, an animal, if you kill a big animal or a little animal, it only has one liver. There's only one liver there. There's, and they're going to split it up, or one guy gets to eat it all and poison himself maximally. But so vitamin A depletes or blocks potassium channels, and copper depletes potassium. So those are the big things that they probably weren't eating a ton of plant foods, so they weren't getting that much copper. And they definitely weren't getting tons of the animal vitamin A foods. So, and maybe they understood that, like, brightly colored fruits and vegetables, then they would have been a lot smaller back then, to avoid those. So it's kind of a combination of things. But yeah, were they mega dosing potassium? Okay, let me go back to this. Now, I don't know where these guys were basing their research, but this was one of my first observations of the whole, like, what's the word I'm looking for? The appeal to tradition fallacy, or the appeal to history fallacy. This was when I was working in a supplement store. So this was like 25 years ago, maybe more. So there was a new fad, which was cleansing yourself with potassium. So, right, we all know if you take enough magnesium, you will crap your brains out. Those of us who have taken strong salt water, sodium, know that you can give yourself diarrhea from salt water. Okay. Can you do the same thing with potassium? Yes. Now, I'm saying I don't know where these guys got these numbers, but they were saying that, like, cavemen didn't salt their food. Okay, correct. Then they were saying that they got something like 10,000 milligrams, 10 grams of potassium a day. Now, like I said, I don't know where they got this information, but this is what I heard. So back then they used to sell like 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligram pills of potassium. I think you could get a gram pill of potassium. They still sell them. It's called K-dur. There is a 1,500 milligram prescription pharmaceutical tablet of potassium chloride. It's a slow release too. 1,500 milligrams per pill. It's still available. So obviously it's safe. They just only want to give it to people who are on diuretics. So these guys they were not salting their food. They were going to do a cleanse, and they were going to take potassium until they got diarrhea. And they were not going to salt their food. So they would do this. They would start getting diarrhea. And then some of them went to the hospital. Very sick. I'm guessing that some people died from this because they took too much potassium and they didn't have enough sodium. The last thing you want to do is try to give yourself diarrhea with potassium. That's going to end badly because too much potassium will very quickly affect your heart. So where they got this idea from, this was like the first paleotards, where they're like, cavemen did this, so let's do this. Just because cavemen did it. What people have to do to survive does not mean it is optimal for health. right? That's the first thing we need to get through our head. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because they did things for survival doesn't mean that it's what would be best for us today. Okay? Because like, I mean, all the people on Naked and Afraid were starving and they were so weak and they could hardly do stuff because they couldn't get enough food. Does that mean that overly fasting is good for you? No. So anyway, that's what I got. Okay, P. Miller says, are we not concerned at all about phytic acid in grains lowering zinc, magnesium, and other minerals? Have you seen the black bean study on zinc absorption? If you are concerned about it, I mean, first, I would suggest to everyone listening, and you can post this in the Love Your Liver too, soak your beans and grains in good water for at least a half hour before you cook them. I'm not talking about canned beans. Canned beans are soaked. Pour out what's in there and rinse off the beans and then cook them. If you're making dry beans, soak them in water for at least a half hour before you cook them. And that will get at least rid of some of this. Now, if you want to do I think that phytic acid is going through the body and robbing people of zinc and magnesium? No, it might affect it in the gut. If you wanted to maximize your zinc absorption from food, you can do this. You can try not eating grains or beans with your meat or with your zinc supplement. Do I say you have to do that? No. We have tons of here's the real world thing. What is the real world thing here? We're helping people get better daily. Then you have all the phytic acid crybabies all over the internet, scared to death of phytic acid, and yet we're out here getting people better. So in a certain way, do we care about what they say? Look at the results. If somebody wanted to optimize it, don't take your zinc with a lot of soluble fiber, like high fiber foods, or don't take your meat with high fiber foods. And then people are going to go, well, but wait, how am I going to eat? Because I do this every meal. Then don't worry about it, because we obviously see that it already works. So somebody's going to twist my words about this and start getting their panties in a twist because they can't, they say, well, Dr. Smith said this is optimal. And then they can't eat beans and grains with meat. And then they're starving themselves because they're not eating enough food. And then I'm going to say, I said, don't worry about it. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. This gets a little frustrating. You folks who insist on perfection and optimizing, you need to stop it. Stop it. We are helping to fix people daily. Look at Grant, 10 years of beef and beans and rice, or bison, bison, black beans, and white or brown rice, or sourdough bread. The sourdough bread didn't come in until very, very late, like in the last year maybe, or maybe two. How's he doing? Is he dying of zinc deficiency? No, he's not. Might he benefit from a little more zinc? Sure. So have I ever been separating my meat or zinc supplements from fiber? No. I've thought about it. Like I normally in the morning, I eat, some bananas and my beef stick. Sometimes I'm still figuring out a new breakfast, but am I worried about, that might be when I could take my zinc, but I also know that you're most likely to get an upset stomach from zinc on especially at breakfast and on too light a meal. Well, I'm looking at that and I'm going, I have a pretty light meal in the morning because I'm going to go work out. Not a lot of fiber in it, but it's also, that's the most likely time for zinc to upset your stomach. So do I want to do that? I don't care. It's not something that's making or breaking the program. So for all the people out there who obsess on phytic acid, which is usually carnivores, they're like scared to death of eating a leaf, that's fine. Don't eat leaves then. Also don't poop. You don't want to poop. You don't have to poop. Just don't eat fiber. So yeah, but are we concerned at all? To be blunt, no. Also soak your beans and grains for at least a half hour before you cook them. You'll see plenty of stuff go into that water. And then just pour it out, rinse them off, and then cook them. I do something else now. So this is something you guys may want to do too if you're making Instant Pot stuff or I don't know, slow cooker or whatever. You soak the beans and grains. You rinse them out. Then you cook them. Like when I cook my beans and grains in the Instant Pot, I cook it all in extra water. Even if I'm cooking the beef or the bison in the Instant Pot, I just leave the pound chunk of beef or bison together so I can easily get it out. So I cook the whole thing, and then I take the meat out when it's done, and I break it up on a plate, and then I drain the liquid the excess liquid from the beans and the grains. So it's kind of like a double rinse in a way. I don't rinse them again. I just drain that water. So that's another way you can get in 2 rinses, one before you cook and one or 2, you can get the water out of them twice. So it also makes them maximum water in them because there's an excess of water. So that's what I do in my cooking. And that would theoretically reduce phytic acid further. So that's what you got. Oh, sorry, I didn't say thank you. I didn't say thank you to Beth for the super chat. Let me do that. And then I didn't say thank you to Oliver for the super chat and P. Miller. Wait, it's not letting me. What in the world? This just logged me out of YouTube too. What is going on today? Well, that's weird. Hold on one second. Something very strange happened. Yeah, I'm signed out of YouTube right now. What in the world is going on today? Okay, should be back in. Let me see. Hold on. Turn that off. I can see myself on the screen now. Let's open up the chat. What a weird day. Getting logged out of all the Google stuff at once. Okay, now I can like them. But it's a good question. The phytic acid question is a good question. I just think people are obsessing over it a bit much. And again, people can say that it's an important thing, and I can say, well, we're still getting results. Like what happened with the oxalate crowd when they first came in. We had people who were doing the oxalate diet, and they came into the low vitamin A diet, and they were combining the two because they knew they were sensitive to oxalates. And they also started doing better on the low vitamin A. And then what they found over time was as they did the low vitamin A longer, they tolerated more oxalates as opposed to the normal oxalate progression. The normal low oxalate progression is people get more and more sensitive to oxalates, and they have to eat less and less because they're all like, oxalate dumping. Dude, oxalate dumping is a bile dump. First, you must understand that. Like the body doesn't all of a sudden just go, I'm going to dump tons of oxalates. Like there's no mechanism for that. You would be dumping a bunch of bile, which actually I could look it up right now, but I'm not going to. Bile probably is how you get rid of the oxalates. So that's where if you dump bile and it leaks back into your system, then you would have oxalates floating all around. Does that make more sense? Like your body can't all of a sudden just go, we're going to pull all the oxalates out of all these places and it's going to go into your body, make you feel bad. No, bile leaking back into your bloodstream makes sense. And if we look at the oxalate content of bile, we may find our answer. So let's see. Well, that's all the super chats for now. So let me go and start back up at the top. Uh-oh. It cut off my chat. So now I don't have my chat past where I logged in. Wow, this is great, Google. Oh, Will asked what is posted. Will, I'm going to be doing a inside the Love Your Liver live stream, I'm going to be doing a chat with Beth Martins about like her work and mental emotional stuff that can help people with sticking to the program and doing better on the program. So that's what it is. Use the chat in the Streamlabs. Okay, let me see. Let me see how this will work. Got to scroll all the way back up to the top. My goodness. Okay, there we are. Let me find the next questions. Somebody said, to be fair, retinoic acid is an acid. LOL. Yes, yes. Acid. I mean, different acids have different effects. Like when people think about acetic acid, like vinegar, right? Baptized in fire. Acetic acid is the downward stream product of ethanol, like, right? Sugar turns into ethanol, turns into acetaldehyde, turns into acetic acid. As Kelsey has said before, glacial acetic acid, which means pure acetic acid, is super duper caustic and toxic. Like, it's really bad. But people are like putting it on their food. You know, just, well, things that are acids, right? But yeah, retinoic acid is an acid. I mean, I'm sure you're talking about the vitamin thing too there. Yeah. How could they discover acids and alkaline and, oh my gosh, does baking soda exist? You mean they mine it? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. EMPS, Dr. Smith, do I have an update on charcoal hemoperfusion or blood filtering? David, spelled DAWID, in the program, his mom or his grandma is going through some sort of blood cleansing thing, right, where they do the charcoal hemoperfusion, I believe. All I know is she did it. She was kind of, you know, they told her she'd be kind of tired for a couple days after it. That's about all I know. I know the company that was working on it was doing it for veterinary use. They were not trying to do it for human use. So right now in the US, as far as I know, filtering the blood through charcoal is probably going to be something that is very underground, and somebody's probably going to go to jail if they do it because they won't like it. They, as in the FDA. So, okay, let me see this one. Mohammed said, I just joined your program, found you through Elwin Robinson. I've been trying to heal my gut, and I've been doing coffee enema for 5 years, but I did a strong one a month ago and went into the emergency. And that's all I see as should I continue taking vitamin K2 because that's what's keeping my app? I'm not quite understanding. Now, okay, coffee enemas. So here we have somebody who's been doing coffee enemas for 5 years, did a strong one, sent himself to apparently the emergency room. Enemas everything has its benefits and its drawbacks. Enemas are habit forming. If you didn't know, if you're doing enemas like daily and you don't poop unless you do an enema, you have the habit. Your system is addicted to it. People seem to think that these liver gallbladder cleanses never have bad results. And actually, Zendog Jojo posted links to Reddit on the Love Your Liver program. People have problems with these things. Like, they are not just like, when people come on and they're like, just do them. Everybody should just do them. I'm like, you're trying to, in a certain way, you're trying to detox through force. You are trying to force detox. Coffee enemas are inducing a bile dump. And then basically they're inducing coffee diarrhea and you're pooping out the bile. Can there be negatives to this? Sure. Can there be negatives to taking a bunch of olive oil and magnesium, Epsom salts, to try to force out bile and maybe blow out whatever is behind it? Sure. Yeah. You might blow out some pipes too at the same time. If you try to detox with violence, you might get violent results. So if you're taking vitamin K2 and it's helping, if you notice that it's helping, great, take it. If you need to take it for now to help with, coagulation, stopping bleeding, whatever, take it. I don't see any problem. I mean, we have a new vitamin K product if you didn't know, and this was not planned. This is not a planned plug. Joe, it's in the store if you want to link it. But yeah, we now sell a vitamin K2 and K1. It's an MK4 product instead of MK7. Everybody sells MK7, and MK7 is a P-glycoprotein inhibitor, and it would tend to cause, if you're taking vitamin D with MK7, it's going to tend to cause vitamin D to accumulate in your cells because your cells need P-glycoprotein to remove toxins. And I have a paper showing that vitamin D, in the presence of a P-glycoprotein inhibitor, vitamin D accumulates in the cells. What a weird coincidence that everybody says take MK7. I've never liked MK7, and it wasn't until Kelsey told me that it was a PGP inhibitor that I went, I knew there was some reason I didn't like it. Yeah, right there, Joe. You can click on the vitamin K one if you want. We'll work on a liquid too, but that's down the road because everybody wants us to make 5,000 bottles of it, and we're kind of like, I don't know if we're going to move that many before it expires, because it's an oil-based product, so it's going to go rancid. Like minerals don't go rancid. They just, it'd be like putting an expiration date on a bag of salt. Salt doesn't go bad, right? Or else Himalayan pink salt would be really bad by now. So anyway, that's the vitamin K. But yeah, be very, very careful of trying to detox with force, which is what coffee enemas and liver and gallbladder cleanses are. Okay, so let's keep going down. And like I said, if the vitamin K2 is helping, it is something we use on the program. And if it's helping, then yeah, use it. If it's not helping, why are you taking it? If you don't need it, like if it's not helping with the coagulation or any of that stuff, then try not taking it. Okay, so we did that question. Oh yeah, and just mentioning again, the Sean Kelly, the Digital Social Hour with Sean Kelly. I was on a recent episode of that. It's a pretty big deal. I did it in Vegas, and that's on his YouTube. So if you look up Digital Social Hour with Sean Kelly, you'll find it in the recent videos. And Joe put the link in the chat. Let's see. Moto J, did you? No. Okay, you posted night sweats are brutal. Night sweats suck. I had a family member who was telling me they had what they felt like was a blockage in their intestines, and they had it before. And he told me he had, when he finally passed it or whatever. This is not my. I did not intervene. We'll put it that way. But when whatever passed through, he said he had 5 separate episodes of night sweats that night. I was like, oof, that sucks. Yeah, so we talked about the eye crust and that stuff. Okay, so yeah, Muhammad was adding, is it safe to take antidotes, vitamin K2, because that's what's keeping me calm? I've stopped taking zinc. Yeah, it's fine. If there's something that's making you feel worse right now, Muhammad, then don't take it. And if there's something that's helping you feel better during it, that's within our framework, then take it. Simple as that. Okay. Oh, LeBrad Pass said his ears, we were talking about earwax. He said ears were the first thing to clear up, wet ears specifically. Steph said she hasn't had earwax in about 6 months, been in LYL for 1.5 years. I'm not congested or crusty in the AM anymore. All that phlegm, folks, your earwax, your eye boogers, your coughing up phlegm, that is your body trying to get rid of toxicity. It's crazy that there used to be these like mucus-less diets, mucus-free diets where people, it was totally like vegan, and they would say mucus is what makes you sick. And it's like, no, mucus is your body getting rid of stuff. So here's the idea. Do you want to have mucus? You don't want to have a ton of it. Do you want to be able to make it? That's the question. Do you want to be able to make it? Yes. Yes, you want to be able to make it. If you're making a ton of it all the time, is that good? No, it means you're toxic. You're your body's trying to get rid of all this toxicity. So we're talking about earwax, the eye boogers, all that stuff, congestion, blowing your nose, coughing up phlegm. But you want to be able to make it, but you don't want it around. But could also somebody be really sick and not make mucus? Yeah. Mucus is full of protein too. So that would be why, like, let's say somebody goes on a heavy vegan fruit diet and they don't make any mucus anymore. Their body may just say, we don't have enough protein to make it. So we're going to stop. We're going to save that protein for like making muscles. So anyway, so Hound Jog, I think we answered your question. She says, fiber, I do a lot and no problems. What are the problems? So see, we can have Hound Jog saying, I do tons of fiber and I have no issues. What are the issues? Well, we have other people who are like, dude, I can't even take any fiber or I get all sorts of issues. So it's just, you watch for it. I mean, the most common things that people would notice with fiber would be digestive stuff. Whether some people with too much fiber, they get very constipated. Some people with too much fiber, they get diarrhea. Some people with too much fiber, they get GERD. Like, you just got to watch, especially watch your digestive system first. That's the first thing that changes. So yeah. Oh, this was a good one. If you're pregnant, should you take a prenatal? What can you take to ensure you're getting enough nutrients without the vitamin A? All prenatals have vitamin A. This is true. Just like all dog food is required to have vitamin A in it. And we see how our animals, and cat food, and we see how our animals are doing, right? So yeah, that's why the gentleman talking about his dog, you know, he was doing some oats and some beef and some other stuff, and then he switched it around and got what he wanted. So for a theoretical pregnant woman, would I ever have them use a prenatal or like the commonly promoted cod liver oil or the high dairy and eggs and liver and all that garbage diet? No, I would not have them do any of that. I do tell women, I want you doing at least 6 months of the Love Your Liver stuff before you are purposely trying to get pregnant. We want people past the heaviest, strongest part of the detox first, which would happen in the earliest phases. If let's just say it was 20 years ago and I was married and we're working on getting pregnant, there would be typically, if somebody was not testing. Okay, so here's the thing. If you're not testing, you're just guessing. Okay. So I would be testing my wife, let's say, to see her minerals, especially her magnesium and zinc and selenium and molybdenum. And we'd be supplementing based on that. If somebody was not testing, there would probably be like a simple thing to do. Like Keystone Minerals there would be topical magnesium, whatever approach you want to do, like our lotion is one. Topical magnesium. There would be making sure she's getting enough potassium, but that's mainly food, maybe some supplements. Then we have the big minerals. We have zinc, selenium, and molybdenum, and then flush niacin. So that what Joe just put on the screen, the Keystone Minerals plus niacin, that's kind of meant to be a one a day kind of thing, kind of like our multi. So there's a basic dose of zinc and molybdenum and selenium in there, and there's like 112 milligrams of niacin. So your niacin is covered. And then if a woman was trying to get pregnant, I would probably have them do this. Joe, you can't find this one. This is in our members only section, but I would probably have them do about 400 micrograms of folinic acid, which is typically sold as calcium folinate, a day. So I'd put them on a folinic acid, not folic. Never use folic acid. I do not use MTHF generally either, the 5-MTHF, the methylated folate. Folinic acid, which is, if you look on the back of the label, it'll say calcium folinate, and then in parentheses it will say, right? No, it says folinic acid, parentheses, as calcium folinate, and then it'll put the ... in 400 micrograms. We may make a folinic acid someday. Not yet, though. We got other things to work on first. So So that's basically, yeah, those couple of things: topical magnesium, potassium, maybe a keystone minerals with niacin, and that covers all 4 of those things. And then just because of the pregnancy, there would be the folinic acid, just 400 micrograms, just a basic dose. If you're eating meat and beans, you're getting lots of folate. So that little extra, it's 1 drop a day, Designs for Health super liquid folate, and you get a discount on it if you go into if you're in the Love Your Liver program and you go into the VIP store. It's a little expensive bottle to buy at the start, but that's because there's 700 doses in it. So yeah, you pay up front and then you have it for a very long time. You'd have it for over, almost 2 years worth of a supplement for, I think it's around 60 or 70 bucks something. So anyway, that's what I would do if it was like my wife trying to get pregnant. Measure it, doing the testing and consultation and getting the doses right of these things would be optimal, if you wanted to say that. Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to find another question. Okay, Debate Anything asks, lab-grown meat can be optimized for 0 vitamin A. Do you foresee perhaps a future where we can eliminate all poisons by growing everything in a lab? I think that is like probably heading towards transhumanism and is all this. I don't think that that's going to be. I think that it will cause many more problems than it will solve. Am I going to eat lab-grown meat? No, I would never touch it. I don't trust. Nope. These are the same scientists who would tell us that vitamin A is good for us, that we need vitamin A to live. Remember, folks, even with like the COOF, spike protein science is virus science. So if you don't believe in viruses, then don't believe in spike proteins either. If you start getting really small on it, you start getting into Jamie Andrews' work, where I did his podcast the other day. He's basically saying most of genetic science is just trash. I'm not decided on all of it. I know, but so is there genetics, right? Like, yeah, did my daughter get like my body type? Absolutely. So like, as anybody, like my dad said, he said, if people who believe that genetics doesn't exist or that like kids are born with a clean slate, he's like, they've obviously never had kids. So when you have your kids and you see yourself in your kids, you're like, does something genetic exist? Yes. Is the science of genetics that they tell us true? Because they tell us, here's your virus DNA. And I'm like, okay, cool, buddy. Yeah, like I don't believe in viruses. So then what kind of DNA bullshit are you trying to feed me here? So something goes wrong somewhere. That's all I know. All I have to know is to call bullshit on something. I don't have to know the solution or where it's all wrong. I just have to know that, like, I know that the videos they send us from the space station are horseshit. Okay. Does that mean I know anything else about what's going on up there? I'm not sure about any of it. All I know is they feed us a lot of bullshit. So, okay. Okay. Debate Anything was saying I wouldn't take that stuff now due to the precautionary principle. Yes. But maybe once it matures as a technology, I may try it. I don't know. Depends. Seems very Soylent Green to me. It's people. So what if they tell us they're making it in a lab and then they're just like giving you a human steak? I don't know. Okay, so Soil Food Web Warrior said, my teeth are no longer getting this buildup of yellow gunk on the inside of my front teeth. I used to have to chip it away with a pick. Cool. Yeah, I mean, why is tartar's yellow, right? So is it just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know this, but I'm just wondering, like, what if tartar was made of this similar stuff to what gallstones were? Wouldn't that be weird? I haven't looked that up. It's just a thought of mine. And I was talking to Kelsey on our trip, and I said, we got to work on the tooth powder. Like, we found some really cool things to work into the tooth powder. So that is a high priority for me, because I'm running out of the tooth powder and stuff that Kelsey made for me a long time ago. So I'm now that's becoming more pressure. When I run out of stuff, that's when I'm like, we got to fix this now. Let's see. Okay, debating thing was also saying my muscles feel fuller without much effort, and I have no earwax or colored mucus due to Garrett and Grant. Thank you so much. You are very welcome. And he said not even a year on this. Just adding, he's adding, being open or active-minded and strictly logical is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Yes. Okay. Andrea says, is an activated charcoal bath or foot soak a good way to remove bile from the bloodstream? It's something you can try. The problem that most people find with charcoal baths or foot soaks, mainly the baths, is that it's just such a mess. Charcoal is just the poofing that it does and the getting into the cracks and crevices where you gotta get it out. I felt bad for our hotel housekeepers because Kelsey and I brought my whole Zen Principle 2.5 pound bag of charcoal and I was taking, I take tablespoons at a time, like either 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoons. There's like, I don't teaspoon dose it. Kelsey's down in the teaspoons. I'm up in the tablespoons. And we poured some charcoal drink down the sink. It's probably a not charcoal and niacin flush drink. And the sink was just all messy. And I was just looking at it going, glad I don't have to clean that up. Does it remove bile from the bloodstream? I don't know. Where would it remove stuff from? Definitely the skin layer. But I don't know that the bloodstream is going to be pumping, enough blood up to the skin that it's going to be removing it from the bloodstream. Do people feel better after charcoal baths? Sure, yeah. So is it possible? I mean, if you remove it from the skin, we always have to remember, if you remove a toxic load from one place in the body, let's say you did like a charcoal mask or a charcoal poultice and it sucks a bunch of toxins into it. Even if those were only in the skin, think of it as like, okay, let's just say you had 100 units of toxicity in your body and you do the charcoal poultice over your liver and the charcoal poultice removes 10 units of toxicity. So now you're only at 90 units of toxicity. Well, what your body is going to do is it's going to redistribute those 90 units among the rest of your body. It's going to redistribute them as it needs to. And so it could even put some toxins back into that area where it took them out of. But overall, your total body burden, your total body toxic load has gone down. So it's being distributed over these other areas. And this is why, as we detox longer, the amount of toxicity can be spread over your body. And then your symptoms in any one area, do you still have toxins in that area? Probably. Where you had problems. There's still toxins in that area. But let's say if it went down to 90, and then it went down to 80, and then it went down to 70, and then it goes down. And let's say at 50 total toxin units spread over your body, symptom A goes away. And then you get to 40, and then symptom B goes away. And then you get to 30, and symptom C goes away. It's just reducing the total body burden. So can you do that locally? Yes. Where you have the problems is where the most toxicity is accumulated for whatever reason. So if you work on it there, it will help take toxicity out of there, and that will help your whole body to just have less toxicity. That's the best explanation I can give it. So could it help? Yes. Kelsey, I know, is a big fan of niacin baths, but Kelsey will also use like a cup of niacin in a bath. She's wild with the niacin because she has a giant drum of it. She bought like seriously like a barrel. She bought a barrel of flush niacin. So, but that's because she was making products with it when she had her Etsy store. So, okay. Stoic Drill Sergeant said, I sweat a lot. He wrote, I swear, but I think he means I sweat a lot. And I feel like I naturally get these benefits with passive sweating. Well, so yeah, passive sweating, I'm not going to tell somebody well, I mean, you're talking about passive sweating. You're just sweating all the time. That's good. I mean, would it be better overall to be a person who sweats a lot versus a person who doesn't sweat? In terms of detox, it would be better to be a person who sweats a lot. However, that may also mean you're more toxic in certain ways, and your body's really like trying to ramp up that route. So it's kind of, but somebody who doesn't sweat, like they're going to have trouble with too much heat. They're not going to be able to clear their heat very well. They've probably got other things where they're not making, saliva or tears. They've probably got other problems too with making that stuff. And that seems to go along with lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is put into all the fluids of your body. So people who are not making enough fluids, that's a good idea to try lactoferrin, because that may be part of why that's not happening. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll do one more question. Okay, baptized by fire said I don't sweat a lot, but a little, and smell like celery if I miss a week of showers. No smell much if I shower every couple of days. Yeah, you'll still. I mean, the thing about it is, right? We're all sweating, and the sweat's going to grow something. And so if you leave the sweat on you too long, yeah, you start to smell. But the longer you can go, especially if you're sweating a lot, the longer you can go between. This is just a test. The longer you can go between showers without smelling, that's a good sign that you're less toxic. Am I saying you need to stop showering? No, I didn't say that. But I think most people shower too often. They far too often. And some of them are doing it like Jojo was saying, or Zendog, he stunk all the time. 3 to 4 showers a day. That would drive me insane to have to do that. But he did it, and now he doesn't have to. Okay. Oliver Montana said, asking, was space weather unusually bad this last week? There was a full moon, which causes its own issues. And what nights was it? Let me see. Let me look at my calendar. There was 2 nights in particular where myself and my daughter slept like garbage. It was Wednesday night and Thursday night of last week. So the 9th, the night of the 9th, and the night of the 10th. I hardly slept at all those nights. I was just rolling around in bed going, what in the heck is wrong? And my daughter said she didn't sleep well either. Kelsey didn't have any issue, but Kelsey's issue is not sleeping. Kelsey sleeps too much. So that space weather tends to make her sleep. So that would make sense. She slept through the night. My daughter and I are like rolling around in the 2 separate beds, and it's just sucked. So there was the full moon, and then there was, I think the full moon was the actual full moon was Friday night, the 11th. I'm pretty sure. And then I started sleeping bad on the 9th, and then the night of the 9th, the night of the 10th, and maybe the 11th was a little bad. You might be able to see it on the podcast. I was a little rough on the podcast because I didn't sleep well that night. I didn't sleep well the 2 nights before. I actually went up to Vegas a day early because, right, usually the first night when you go somewhere new, you sleep terribly. So I was like, I don't want to go up there the night before the podcast because I know I'm going to sleep bad. And if you guys don't know this, especially men, we sleep terrible the first night in a new place. By design, we make less melatonin because especially the man needs to be awake in case you're in a dangerous area and something's coming to attack or kill or whatever your tribe. So it is very normal for men to sleep particularly badly in a new place. So that's why I was going to give myself an extra night, and then I still slept bad the next night. I was like, what is going on? Anyway, okay. Aiden Pennington is asking, so we thank you for the super chat. Oh, there's the podcast. Aiden's asking, I'm in Love Your Liver. Just found out I'm anemic, low red /white /platelets, cowboy diet, and oatmeal /apple /banana /barley, nicotinic acid, zinc, charcoal daily for 8 months. Suggestions for anemia. Been very tired lately. Aiden, if you're still here, just tell me if I need to know your gender. Are you I'm like Aiden, ADIN? I don't know. So just let me know, man or woman. Let me get down here to the bottom. You still here, Aiden? Or are you going to come back and watch it later? Well, first, so I'll just add this while we're waiting. Male. Okay, so we don't have to worry about the menstrual thing. Okay, so I was just making sure it wasn't like excessive bleeding that might be causing the anemia. So it's not that. Now, the one thing you can try, do you know, so is this anemia, has this been going on for a while? I mean, or is this something that like you didn't get blood tests before and you just didn't know? Like, is this something that has been going on for a while? Or is this something like you don't know if it's been going on for a while and now it's here? So let me know. Oh yeah, Aiden was commenting about it. This show being on Wednesday. Yeah, I was driving back from. I had a 6.5 hour drive back from Vegas yesterday. So last 3 months, it's new. Okay. There's probably something going on. You may or may not be getting along with all the supplements. This is one of those things where, I'm not going to say you're doing the program wrong, but I'm going to say sometimes people ignore symptoms and then symptoms creep up on them because it's an internal thing. You may not be agreeing. One of those supplements may not be agreeing with you. That's something you want to watch for. Now, you may want to try just something you could try. Okay, you were taking 1/16 pill of lactoferrin for the last 3 weeks, but you stopped. So one of the first things, let me just go over this here, and you guys can judge my ethics by what I'm about to say here, because I'm going to say, like, people are like, will you sell supplements? And I'm like, one of the first things I'll tell people is to take less if they're having issues. So the first things when we think somebody might be, let's just say this is an idea that you're pushing detox too hard. Just an idea. But you may not realize it. You might be having an internal symptom. The first things I usually do when we think people might be detoxing too hard is we look at their soluble fiber. I mean, you're doing barley. Barley is like black belt grain. And what I mean by black belt is, you might be a white belt and you're going in and you're challenging the black belt to a fight, and the black belt is kicking your ass. You might still be detoxing, but you might be detoxing too hard. And barley has an insane amount of fiber in it. So the first things I look at is too much fiber. Barley is particularly prone to, it's stronger than most people realize. Or they try it and they're like, wow, that kicked my ass. And it's like, yeah, it's really strong. So you might want to, usually what I'd have people do is look at your soluble fiber, consider going down in soluble fiber. That might be part of it. Now, the other thing you might do if you want to get more iron in your system is you might try, like we talked about earlier, if you're taking zinc and you're eating red meat, is you might try to separate more your zinc and your red meat from the heavy fiber meals. See if you can't get more of that in you. Two of the things that we tend to reduce early on, if the soluble fiber thing, if you address that, if we're looking at two other things, we might look at less flush niacin, like half. Cut your flush niacin dose in half if you can. And then the lactoferrin, you may want to, if you're on that little 1/16, you'd either cut that in half or you'd take a break from it. If you ever think you're dumping too much bile, people, the very first things you should cut in half would be the flush niacin and the lactoferrin. This is a general thing that I do, that I teach the facilitators to teach too. Those are the two big, they just pump bile like crazy. So if they don't work for you, like I take 2 lactoferrin a day and I've been doing that for a while and I love it. If I miss it too long, I don't feel good. Like I start to get, it's not that I don't feel good. It's like I get a little moodier and my energy is not as good. My productivity is not as good. So it's not like I'm falling apart. It's that I'm just going, where did the juice go? Like the juice I used to have to do this stuff, where did it go? And then I go, oh, Oh, it happened when we ran out of lactoferrin, and I ran out of it too. And I was like, this sucks. I want my lactoferrin back. So, but those are things that you got to assess for yourself. So the too much fiber, niacin, lactoferrin, those would be things you can adjust. The next thing would be if you were taking all the big minerals, like it could be any one of those. If you're doing them as keystone minerals, it's kind of hard to do what I'm about to advise. So you might want to get the separate minerals so you can try them. Try taking out the big minerals. If take them all out for like a week, the zinc, selenium, and molybdenum, take them all out for a week, kind of reset. And then you would start doing each, you could either try the keystone minerals again and see if you felt worse. That's kind of not very precise. Or you could re-add in selenium first for a week, molybdenum the next week, and then zinc the next week, and see if one of those has you not feeling good. And if one of those has you not feeling good, then you would take that out. Or try a lower dose, whichever one. That would be how I would initially navigate this. If you wanted to try some iron, because you're having an issue with it. Iron is not something we normally do on the program, but if you wanted to try some iron, the easiest one to get is iron bisglycinate, BIS glycinate, and just a pill a day. And if you notice improvements from that, then yeah, you got an iron deficiency going on, but we want to figure out why it's happening, which is probably something you're doing, and then you got to look into your environment and your lifestyle and see if there are any toxicities that you're being exposed to that you can figure out that might be causing you problems. Because that I can't navigate here. That's something you would have to look into. And if you were testing, let's say if you were doing hair testing, we might be able to see if there was some toxic metal that was coming in to your environment, into your system, that then we could work on figuring out what the source of it was. Because when we don't know what the toxic metal is, we can't go looking for sources. So that's what I got. Okay. That's what I got there. Okay, so last super chat. No more super chats, folks. But thank you for the super chat, Susan. We have husband's blood pressure suddenly went from chronically low, 110/70 or below, to 138/88. The only change is potassium bicarb, 1,000 milligrams at bedtime. He loves the energy, but is this a concern? Yeah. You have to remember, potassium bicarbonate is two things. It's potassium and the bicarbonate. The potassium typically, so I don't usually have people supplement potassium bicarb by itself. Why? Anything bicarbonate or even carbonate is like a drug level alkalizer. Like it's more like it, when we're talking about an acid base, acid alkaline, we're talking about this. Bicarbonates are about the strongest thing over the counter that you can do. Now, if I saw blood pressure, if I saw high blood pressure, normally I would think there's probably a potassium deficiency. Well, he's taking potassium bicarbonate. Kelsey's not, I don't think on the chats right now, but potassium bicarbonate is mostly the bicarbonate. There's two of them. There's two carbonic acids. So it's two, I'm pretty sure it's carbonic acid. I'm not a biochemist. Anyway, so potassium bicarbonate is two. Bis means two. And potassium is just one little mineral. It's a small mineral, if you will. So the bicarbonate is most of the molecule. There's not that much potassium in there. So what I'm saying is you could be getting this is my theory, you could be getting the rise in blood pressure somehow because of the bicarbonate part. The energy might be from the potassium. So then what you might want to do is look into a different form of potassium that doesn't have the alkalinity part to it. That's what potassium. I would watch the potassium video again. On the potassium video, like potassium bicarbonate, we use it as a buffer. So listen very closely here. We use potassium bicarbonate as a buffer for nicotinic acid, flush niacin. You can use it as one of the various buffers. And if you haven't read the buffering article from Kelsey in the Love Your Liver program, read it. And just for anybody who's listening, who's in the LYL, The only buffers you can use are the ones mentioned in the article. We've had people trying to buffer their niacin with charcoal. No, that doesn't buffer it. Don't. Follow the instructions. That's the framework. And I'm not saying this to you specifically, Susan. I'm saying this is to everybody. But I don't use sodium bicarbonate as a source of sodium. I don't use potassium bicarbonate as a source of potassium. I don't do that. That's not what we do here. That is, we let the body mess with the pH. Your body actually regulates the pH quite well as long as we're not overdoing too much of anything. Joe put up the potassium video there, but potassium bicarbonate is not something we use. Because eventually, most people are going to take too much of the alkalizer. It's going to make them too alkaline, and then they're going to get problems from that over time. And yes, you can be too alkaline. Can you be too acidic? Yes. Can you be too alkaline? Yes. So I would just try a different form of potassium, or just see. You can always see if you can do the food experiment, where if he wants to do potassium at bedtime, he could do a couple of bananas. He could do like a pint of coconut water and just do a food source and see if that does it. So then he can tell which part is the potassium versus which part is the bicarbonate. We typically don't see potassium cause blood pressure rising. We don't. The bicarbonate is the suspect here. Now, here's the other thing, though. Here's the basis of what we're doing. Doc, it hurts when I do that. Well, then don't do that. And then we get into, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's a pretty significant, blood pressure rise. Now, the other thing is you want to get multiple blood pressures. I don't know if you guys know this, but technically they're not supposed to be able to diagnose a person with hypertension until they have 3 separate blood pressure measurements on different days. They're not supposed to diagnose people with high blood pressure in one visit, because you could have just ran to get there. You could be super stressed. You could have white coat syndrome. Never forget white coat syndrome. Like where people just get nervous going to the doctor and their blood pressure goes up. Then their doctor puts them on a blood pressure med when it was just that they were nervous going to the doctor's office. So you want to get multiple measurements and confirm it. And again, like I said, my first suspicion would be that it's potassium bicarb and not one of the other ones that we typically use. So you could either try it with foods, or you could try a different form of potassium. That would be my suggestion there. So that's what we got. Okay. So I hope that helps, Susan. Let me see. Let me go in. Where'd it go? There we go. I got to go like it before I, thank you for the super chat, Susan. And thank you, Aiden. I hope you got something helpful out of it. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for coming. We will continue the infertility PSYOP series next week, I believe. We'll be going into the company of wellness and the things they advise between they're really a pharmaceutical company at this point with their emergency kits. But yeah, we'll be going over that stuff. And, you got to be careful of what you take. But again, remember the spike protein science is based on virus science. So they're pushing spike protein things, which means they are fully in on virus theory, which I am not. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, nutritiondetective.com is my main website. That's where we got the supplements. That's where we got the testing and consultation stuff. That's where you can find the link to the Love Your Liver program. So you can find the link at our main website, or you can go to members.nutritiondetective.com. That's where we get all these testimonials from people who are in there. It's a one-time fee for a lifetime membership now. And then there's also, if you wanted to find me on social media, obviously I'm here on youtube.com/nutritiondetective. And then you can find me on Twitter at NutriDetect, because I couldn't fit my whole name in there. Anyway, so hope you all enjoyed it. We will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye now.